Hello, I'm here with Ayesha, and we are about to talk about her absolutely stunning work, The Center. Your mind is going to be blown. It's so beautifully written. You have everything in there from, cultural assimilation, the nature of language itself, and even sort of the difference between male and female and how they maneuver through the world. There's so much in there, and it becomes more and more chilling as we go along. I will not even say any more than that so that readers can enjoy, but I'll let you tell a little bit about what The Center is about.
The novel is basically about a Pakistani translator living in London who's unsatisfied with her life, but her unsatisfaction is kind of vague and ever-changing. And then she stumbles upon a super secret, super mysterious language school where you can become fluent in any language in just 10 days. She feels that this might be the answer to whatever she's been looking for, but it all comes at a secret and sinister cost.
Tell me about your experience with language.
I was born in Oman, but then at a very young age, I moved to Pakistan and then moved to England, where I live now at the age of 18. So like Anisa, like the protagonist, I moved here for university. So this idea of neither place feeling like home, and then where are you, and what does that sense of dislocation do to your psyche? And I guess this also relates to what you were saying earlier about the different things that the novel represents in terms of not just race, but also gender or sexuality or class and so on. And I guess that's what happens when you're occupying these in-betweens. So exploring that kind of like intersectionality felt important to me. With translation, there are several different kinds of translation. So there's the official translation, the kind that Anisa does, where she's writing at first subtitles and then she's translating books. And then there's another kind of translation, which is perhaps a translation that you are almost forced to do in the sense of having to explain yourself to the dominant culture. And there's two sides to both of those kinds of translations. It's not as straightforward as it seems. There is also, as you said, something lost in that process, or maybe something taken illicitly. Those are the kinds of things I was trying to explore.
A lot of this book does have about that idea of earning knowledge of where you are, what you're thinking, who you're speaking with, who everyone really is, what the reality is, and the downside of what can happen if you don't do that, right?
Completely. I think the other aspect of her irritation at Adam's sudden fluency in Urdu is that, so he goes to Pakistan with her and he's speaking suddenly in fluent Urdu. And it's not just that he's acquired it overnight that is bothering her. It's also the fact that a white man speaking Urdu is so valued. Mm-hmm. And so she talks about the double standard around that. And that felt like something important to explore.
There is just a certain supremacy that white men can have. And to me, it feels like part of the reason that she can't fully connect with him.
But at the same time, she does not seem as aware of her class privilege. Yes, it's true. Like Adam does have this thing in terms of gender, in terms of his whiteness, but then there's an interesting thing going on around class, which Anisa doesn't seem to be fully plugged into. And that was an exciting thing to explore as well.
What made you start thinking about this idea?
It's a really funny question because I've been asked it a few times recently, and it's such a difficult question to answer with while preserving the spoilers, as you can imagine.
That's why I'm trying to leave it right there.
I noticed because the truth is the core of it did kind of come to me years ago. And so I won't say what that is, because the story goes through various twists and turns. But the central sort of story did come to me years ago. I'd be curious to know whether you find this as well, but you have that kind of direction already embedded in the thing. I didn't know she had this best friend or this lover, like all of that was filled in. But I felt like I kind of had the skeleton of the thing. And so that gave me a lot of direction. I was also, I think this is a big factor, which I actually haven't shared before. I was turning 40. Mm-hmm. And I've been trying to write. I mean, I've made several attempts at writing novels before. I've published various other things like plays and short stories, poetry, essays. And I think there was something about turning 40 where I was like, oh, if you're going to do it, maybe do it now, you know?
I had tried and failed to write many novels. I couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to say or how to say it, I guess. I would like to write a little bit more prolifically. Martin Amis, who recently passed, like one of my heroes, and he talked about being able to look at a shelf and going, here's me from here to here. He started, I think, 24 and, wrote his whole life, and you can kind of see that. And certainly you can see my stuff. My first one, the woman was defiantly single. Ditto the second one. Then I got married. The third one was Gone Girl. And the fourth one I'm writing now has children in it. So they do not die. I will.
Oh, good. Good to know.
Who would you say your favorite influences are?
I read quite a lot of theory, and I read quite a lot of literary fiction. What I've just read that I really liked was Sheila Hetty's novel, Pure Color. I recently also read Sara Ahmed, who's a political theorist. I enjoy her work. James Baldwin. I don't read a lot of poetry, but I like Emily Dickinson and Audre Lorde quite a lot. A big influence in the novel, who I mentioned in the novel, is Adrienne Rich. So again, that's both poetry and essays.
I'm reading right now. I love Hilary Mantel's trilogy on Thomas Cromwell. I just think one of the most beautiful writers around. So I'm reading A Place in Safety. That's her take on the three men who helped start the French Revolution. I love her stuff because I learned both about certain time periods, and also she's just she gives me writer jealousy.